Welcome back to the Business Simple podcast. It's your host, James. I've got another one of our My Thoughts episodes today. I got asked to record this episode this morning. I haven't thought about it at all. I haven't prepared anything, but I think it's going to be quite interesting. I'm going to be recording an episode on what I do differently off the cuff if I started Digital Simple again from scratch. I'm going to do this in a way where I'm going to try to be really authentic and vulnerable, and I'm going to really try to touch on the mistakes that I've made over the years, the things I've done wrong, the stuff I've allowed to carry on. I think probably running an agency the size of the one that I run and having grown it as quickly as I have at the age that I have might lead a few people to, or I might create an illusion that I do know wrong. So probably the preface to this story or this episode is that's not true. And you're probably about to get a pretty good inkling of that. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is I would not get tied up in headcount and that being a way that I measure my success. I think that a business that has a really good product, like an exceptional product, and really good margins and heaps of happy customers is my new dream scenario. If I do that with 10 people or 50, I don't really care. What I care about is making sure that those things are checked. And I think for a long time for me, my headcount growing was the way that I justified the work that I was putting in. But your headcount growing doesn't actually necessarily reflect on your bottom line. If anything, it often means you're making less money. I really don't care about making money. And I think that's a part of why this has been a problem for me, is because I care about probably status and impression in the market more than bottom line. That's changed for me now, not because all of a sudden I like making money, but because I'm so big on running a business that is healthy, would be the way that I describe it, and that's able to reward the people who put a lot into it, and that rewards people like me who put a lot into it as well. And that is very deeply important to me, as I've done a lot of reflecting over the last little bit, not my team size. And so making sure I have a business that is full with people that contribute to it and that rewards them really deeply is something that I would do differently going back in time. Something else that I would do differently back in time is, and I think this probably stems really closely off that, is I would be more diligent when it comes to measuring individual team members' performance. So I've kind of always looked at the business as a whole, and is the business performing well or is the business not performing well has kind of been the way that I've considered that. And what that creates is an environment where some people over contribute and some people under contribute, but everyone kind of gets rewarded in the same way. Maybe the over contributors get like a little bit of extra praise or something, or but overarchingly, I don't think they get what they deserve. And as a result of that, maybe the under contributors get too much, or they get right, but either way, I would have built the system out in a way where it has more clearly defined individual responsibilities with a better measuring point around whether you're doing a good job of your responsibilities or not. And I would be faster to have conversations with people if they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, or if their responsibilities weren't being met, or even if they were just like not contributing positively to the team culture or the team feel or anything like that, which is very important to me. I would have been quicker to act, I think. And I think in reflecting, I think we've probably lost a few really good people that they benefited hugely from their work here, and they've learned a lot and they've gone on to achieve really good things. But on top of that, they have, not probably gone as far here as they could have if we'd had a system that more accurately measured that and sort of focused on those things. Other things I'd do differently, I would put product above everything. I think that when you look at the best businesses in the world, the thing that makes them the best is they are the best at what they do. And usually they ruthlessly prioritize being the best at what they do above every other element in the business. So I would focus more on having the best delivery team meeting our members, hiring in talent, doing things like that to have a product that is awesome. Don't get me wrong, I love our product, but I believe that there's probably a a scenario where we could have gotten there faster and been better even than we are now by focusing on that more than other things that were more vanity styled. And I'm moving in this direction now, would prioritize that product over any other part of the business, because you could have a good product and be bad at everything else and still have a great business. That's just the reality of it. There's not many other parts of your business that can be that good. You got a customer retention problem, your product's probably shit. You got a sales problem, your product's probably shit. You got, like, that's a part of the challenge here. And a bad product might be the price point, it might be the delivery, it could be anything there. But I would have probably gone down a more aggressive route of refining that product. We've grown to be, big at points, and we're not actually as big now as we could be, I don't feel, and we're definitely not as big as we have been in the past. And I think a big part of that is probably a shift in focus away from product and towards other things. And so I'm going to right that ship by pushing back towards product now, because I think I need to, and as a business invest more in that, because it is a really important part of what we do. And then probably, I suppose that the last thing that I touch on, and I've become really aware of this over the last few months, is I wouldn't remove myself from sales. I think I became really obsessed quite early into running the business, and the idea of having a business that runs without you is cool, right? But having a business that grows without you is really cool. And I think that's the ultimate sign of you've achieved something. Well, I used to think that. Now what I've realized is that I love what I do, and I should do as much of it as I possibly can, whilst also being a great father and a great fiance and spending time with my family and friends and that sort of thing. But outside of those things, I should just be doing what I'm good at and what I enjoy doing. And what I'm good at and what I enjoy doing is talking to business owners, solving their problems through marketing, and then, pulling them on board and crushing it. That's my purpose. I love that. And so I don't know why, but I got really obsessed with the idea of not doing that, which sounds fucking stupid when I say it back. But over the last few months, we've had some challenges from a sales perspective. And as a result of that, I have jumped back in, and I'm now doing a lot of new business meetings. I'm sending a lot of proposals. I'm very involved in that side of my company again. And the biggest thing that's come back to me through doing that is I don't know why I ever stopped doing it. It's what I do. And I genuinely, and I say this, I'm saying this on record and I'm about to publish it on the internet, but I don't know if there's anyone, if not, it will be one or two people who could hang with me from a selling digital marketing perspective in this country. And so if you have someone who's that good at something, why would you then take them out of it and put them into a whole bunch of things they're not good at, like this, running the business stuff and that sort of thing, when you can employ people to do that? You can, and you can just do heaps of shit that you're really good at. So a lot of the businesses that I look up to, I've realized that, the founder or the owner or whatever it is still pretty involved from a sales perspective. And that I think is probably our future. I don't think that I ever should have really tried to remove myself from it. And I think that it's probably cost me a lot of money, which is okay, because I've also made a lot over the time that I've been doing this. But, I think that if there was one thing that I could change, it would be staying in sales for longer, just from also like a fulfillment perspective. And I get a rush doing deals, and I just love it. And it's going to be cool. I'll at some point in time, I'll update you guys on my numbers, but I've signed 4 deals since I jumped back in, and I've probably got another 15 proposals out, and I reckon I'll go about 50% on them. And, we're going to drum some revenue up, and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to tell everyone what I did and how I did it at the end. But yeah, it's been really cool. Is there anything else I'd do differently? Like, I suppose probably one thing that I've been thinking about a lot recently is I would focus a lot on A players and having people that really contribute, and not just tell you that contribute or talk about contributing or anything like that, but people who your business would be considerably worse without. Those people are really hard to find. I would A, value those people that I've got higher, and B, I would prioritize finding those people over B and C people more. I would spend more time recruiting, and speaking about that sales thing, I would consider finding a really key staff member and getting them on board a sales process and trying to, go out and find those people and do that. I think that's really important. And I'd be sooner to talk to people about underperformance if it was obvious. I wouldn't let it run off. I would spend less time afraid of offending people and more time protecting the ones that are contributing. But yeah, I suppose I was reasonably vulnerable there. Hopefully you guys got something from it. I'm sure you could tell how raw and where that sort of came from. Is I've been doing a lot of reflecting over the last little bit, and it's been good for me the start of this year. Is I've had a bit of an ego check where we have shrunk in size, and we were the biggest we've ever been not long ago. So it's been really good for me to learn the things that I've learned over the last little bit, and I'm really excited to grow back to the size that we were and further than that. I feel like this step backwards was the one that was required for us to consolidate and go harder into the future. So anyway, if I was to go back and do my time again, those are the things I'd do differently. It's a question that I ask every guest that comes on the podcast. So now you have my proper long format answer. Thank you for listening. I hope you got something from this, and I will see you on the next one. Follow our socials, subscribe to our Spotify, do all that sort of thing. Check us out on YouTube, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Thanks, guys.